So our goal today is, or objective, notice when authors organize information using cause and effect. So I think we talked about cause and effect last week, just a little bit. We use signal words for all of that. So I want you to be thinking about some questions. What are some problems in our world? What are some solutions to those problems? And what are some problems and solutions that authors might write about? So what we're going to do is I'm going to have you talk with either the person at your table, and if you don't have someone at your table, someone nearby to you. And if you, I guess, get done really quickly with the person at your table, talk to somebody that's nearby and ask and talk about these 3 questions. And then we'll talk about it together as a class. You can go ahead and start now. So what are some problems in our world? What are some solutions? And what are some problems and solutions that authors might write about?
People who don't buy clothes, it's a problem. Like 10
Okay, we'll go ahead and stop there. Got a lot of people just kind of staring, so I think we're done. So let's talk about the first question. What are some problems that you can come up with in our world right now? Emmett?
COVID.
Yeah, so that is one of the problems that you can come up with. Any other problems? Tate?
Pollution.
Okay, pollution's one that's been talked about for many years. Kylie? Okay, so back to like the COVID thing that Emmett brought up. Amelia?
Like saving energy.
Okay, so energy efficiency is definitely something that has been a big deal. Marcos?
People buying too much toilet paper.
Okay, that was a problem back in March, maybe. Brendan?
Things cost money what I want.
What did you say?
Things cost money what I want.
Okay, so things that you want cost money.
Okay.
Ask Mr. Beast for his
London. Okay, so kind of like the energy efficiency thing with gas. Okay. So those are some of the problems in our world that we face today. And they're different sometimes for each country. So what are some solutions to those problems? So what are some solutions that maybe you've heard about these problems, and so you might want to bring up for some of the things that were mentioned? Kate?
Picking up electric cars.
Okay, so electric cars, that kind of fits with the energy problem or the gas problem that London was talking about. So that's one of the possible solutions. What's another solution, Marcos?
Either make more toilet paper or make it reusable.
Okay. So
No one wants to
let's
reuse toilet paper.
Okay, let's get back on topic. So a realistic solution to a realistic problem. Daniel?
They could use a leaf.
A leaf.
Toilet paper.
Okay, on to a realistic problem.
Nature
Okay.
would.
Okay, listen. That is not a problem right now. It's not a problem. It was a problem in March. Problem was fixed. Let's move on to a real problem that's happening right now. Bracken.
So do we just say another problem, or?
Well, solution. We're on the next question. So what are solutions to those problems?
We could make a thing called a TP donation box, and if someone doesn't need any more TP and they have enough of it, you could go donate some to the people who don't have enough.
Okay, can we move on from that? It is done. That is a dead finish.
Paper should be the new
completed problem, okay? So we do not have that problem right now. Okay, so can we move on to a real problem? London. Okay, so you're talking about like a problem like right now some people are struggling financially because of like shutting down the economy and starting it back up. Okay, so that might be a possible solution to that problem. Thank you. Okay, what's another solution to one of the problems that we've brought up? Because we talked about pollution, we've talked about energy, talked about different sorts of things. Zoe.
I guess to answer the last question, but if you were to write about pollution, I would probably write about persuading, like the people to stop throwing stuff over down.
Okay, so that would be one solution for pollution, which is don't litter, right? Be more mindful about your trash, okay? So that's something. What about COVID? What are some of the solutions that have been brought up for that problem? So what are some of the solutions, Lila? Okay, so social distancing was considered one of the solutions. What's another solution that's been brought up for this particular problem, Micah? Masks is another one. What's another solution that's been brought up? Brecken.
Smart scientists.
Okay, so
Big brain.
sure, they are trying to come up with solutions, but what are some of the solutions that were brought up from them? Let's focus on the solution, not the people making the solutions. So what are some of the solutions? Zoe?
Vaccine.
Okay, that's the big one right now, right, is vaccination. So that is considered one of the solutions to the problem. Any other solutions that were thought of before we move on? Daniel?
Well, for a solution to Brecken's problem, his problem was everything cost a bunch of money. A solution for his problem is the new currency. Instead of dollars, it could be toilets.
Okay, moving
How
on.
would you get toilets?
So,
That's a good idea.
next question. What are some
Like
problems
red
and
shirts.
solutions that authors might write about? So some of the problems that we've talked about are things that authors would write about. So essentially this question is asking, what are some books that you might run into in a library that's talking about a problem and a solution? There's quite a few I can think of right off the top of my head because they're problems that have been going on for years and been written about and you've probably read about already. So there should be easy ones. So what are some easy ones? Brecken.
Fiction.
You say that a little louder?
Maybe fiction.
Fiction. No. So problems and solutions that you would see in a book, nonfiction more than likely, because that's what this unit's been focused on, right? Organizing nonfiction information. So what would be a book that you would run into that would have some problems and solutions in a library? Zoe? Exactly. Energy efficiency. So probably something about, getting rid of gas cars and going into electric cars. That would be something you'd probably see in a library with an author writing that down. Micah.
If we went back to electric cars, a bunch of people would just buy a bunch of Teslas.
That is one of the alternative cars, right? That's been going on right now. There might be a book about, what's his name? Elon Musk and his Tesla cars. Okay, there could be something like that, and the solution to that problem. London. Yeah, you could definitely get a book like that. Another book that comes to mind that we could do is, and I'm surprised no one mentioned about it, is like alternative energy. We've been mentioning electric cars. What about solar panels and that sort of thing? Or wind energy. There's probably a ton of books about wind energy and solar energy and replacing coal for that, okay? There's probably many books you would find in a library that are mentioned in that. So what's one more easy one before we move on? Amelia?
What if to save energy, you just get a time traveling DeLorean and just power it on radioactive material?
Okay, well, we're focusing on this problem. Okay, you guys are going on tangents right now, and I need you to focus on this. Okay, so authors of nonfiction text have to make a decision about how to organize information to get their message across clearly to the reader. One way they do this is by presenting information as a problem and then giving you a solution to that problem. Okay? Remember last week on Thursday, we said that we agreed that it's better when you're finished reading something that you understand what you read. And of course, writers want people to understand what they're writing as well, or else it's just a waste of time. If they sit there and write all this down and then readers are walking away not understanding what they said, then it's a waste of time for everybody. It's a waste of time for the reader, it's a waste of time for the writer. So it's the goal of theirs to make sure that it is understandable. And one of the strategies they use is this: giving you a problem and saying, oh, this is a problem, and then presenting you with a solution to that problem. It's just like the water text that we read many weeks ago. And it was talking about clean water, right? It presented as a problem, and then they started giving you solutions to that problem. So some signal words that an author would use when giving problem and solution and alert the reader that that's what they're doing is the words but, the problem, one solution is. First or second, the solution, one way is. Nonetheless, one reason for the. Okay, so these would be some signal words that you would notice when they're about to give you a problem, but then also a solution to that problem. So we're going to listen to just a very little bit of this book here, and we need to be listening for signal words, so words where they're presenting a problem and a solution. So let's see if this thing will work. We need to go to 11:58. Close enough.
Sawfishes, the golden arrow poison frog, the European crayfish, and albatrosses. If you would like to read these captions, I recommend you push pause and study these pictures more closely. Sometimes, though, we have managed to do the right thing in time. There are quite a lot of species that have nearly gone extinct and that we have saved, at least for the time being. And one of these is the American bison. Here's the American bison. The American bison is the biggest land animal in North America. A few hundred years ago, there were millions of them roaming the prairies and woodlands. Native people hunted them for their meat and skins, but they didn't kill too many, so there were always plenty around. Then Europeans arrived with their horses and guns, and things began to change. They killed huge numbers of bison for their skins, they plowed up parts of the prairies to plant wheat, and they turned the rest into ranches where they could graze cattle. All this left less and less room for the bison. Suddenly, there were just 2 small herds of wild bison left and a few kept in pens by ranchers. The bison was in danger of becoming extinct without anyone really noticing. Luckily, people did begin to take notice, and at the last minute they started to do things. The ranchers who kept the captive bison started breeding from them, and the government set up reserves to protect the wild herds. Bison numbers began to grow. Now there are hundreds of thousands again. Most of them are still kept by ranchers who treat them like cattle, but there are also some wild herds. There are still nowhere near as many as there once were, but there are enough for us not to have to worry about them going extinct anytime soon.
Okay, so thinking about that, what were some signal words and what was the problem solution to that part of the story? So talking about bison, right? And what was the problem? What was the solution? Obviously this is a past, this is historical, so they're not trying to convince you of a solution, right? Because it's not a problem that's currently happening. It's a past one. But what was the problem solution? London? Yeah, so the problem was that the bison were going extinct, and the solution was that they stopped hunting them, right? They stopped hunting them. Marcos, did you have anything to add to that, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
that if people would stop hunting them like they did, like the Europeans and stuff, and if they were to be thoughtful, that there would still be millions and billions of
Yeah, so there aren't even, like the book said, not even as many now as there once were. So, but yeah, the solution was to stop hunting them as much as they had, and to start breeding them and getting their numbers back up. Brecken?
Isn't it, did they kind of make it like a sort of law to not kill bison? And who did that?
Yeah, like they said, the government stepped in, right? The government stepped in and fixed, or helped try to fix the problem, right? And make it where there wouldn't be people actively hunting them and causing them to go further extinct. Yeah, London? Yes. Okay, so for our focus here, which I think is the last slide, you're going to think about your topic you are writing about for your persuasive essay. How could you organize your information into a problem and solution format? Write your topic and 3 reasons in problem and solution format. And they give you an example here. So, reason 1. The issue with school lunch is that there are not enough options. We could fix this by providing a second option to each lunch. So that is one of the problem solution examples that you would use. So you have an essay, right? You have 3 reasons why. You're going to write the problem, and then your reasons why is kind of your solution, right? You're kind of adding in some way to fix that. Okay? Yes, Brecken?
Isn't there already a second lunch option in a la carte?
In a la carte, yeah, I believe there is for the school, yeah, but it's just an example.
And
So-
also, not everybody under our age can get a la carte.
So, you're going to write this in your mini lesson response. And this is just to get you thinking about ideas that you could use for your essay. All right? Okay, so that will be the end of the lesson. I'm going to pause the video.